All right, now joining the show, we've got on Mike Loudon from 20 Deuce TV. Mike, how are you, man?
Well, it's Loudon, first of all,
Loudon,
but
I
I'm good.
apologize.
Listen, man, I'm good. You're not the person who's not the first person who's done
Mhm.
that to my name. So I'm good, man. I'm good. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you coming on. So first thing, I love the hoodie, the bar where it's got all the different New Haven pizzas.
Yeah.
I think that is one of the coolest things I've seen when it comes to Connecticut related stuff. I love representing Connecticut. I think a lot of people overrate how bad it might be to live here. I think it's one of the best states to live in. Just there's especially when it comes to food. I'm a big food guy too.
Yeah.
So I do want to start off by asking, does Connecticut have the best pizza in America?
Uh, of course, I'm a Connecticut guy like you, and I'm
Yeah.
going to say yes.
Mhm.
Obviously, I will say with the caveat that there is other great
Mhm.
places to get pizza, and I've
Yeah.
been to most of the quote unquote great pizza places across the United States, whether
Yeah.
it's in Detroit or Chicago, New York, New Jersey. I've been to the majority of them, and they all have their way. They
Yeah.
all have their way that they approach pizza, or like deep dish isn't for me. I respect the style, but that's not my that to me that's like a cake. It's like a savory
Yeah.
cake. I mean,
Yeah.
thing is this thick and takes an hour to get it right. So Detroit style is good. New York style is great. I mean, there's a lot of great pizza, but Connecticut's just got, I think, what sets Connecticut apart is there's so many really fantastic
Mhm.
pizza places in Connecticut, right? And then
Yeah.
you go to like a New York, for example, there's 6,000 pizza spots,
Mhm.
99-cent slice, this, that, and the other thing. There's just a lot more mid in New York. There's
Yes.
some
Yeah.
shockingly great in New York. I'm
Mhm.
not going to ever, I'll never take that from them. But there's a lot more mid than we have. I think we have a lot of, I think we have a bigger upper echelon, so to
Yes.
speak, right? So that's what I think sets Connecticut apart, obviously. But I'm obviously a little bit of a
Mhm. A little biased.
purist. Yeah, my bias is Connecticut. Obviously, I have Connecticut on my head right now, but just a lot of great pizza, especially in the Northeast. Northeast is the mecca for pizza, and I
Yeah.
think we all can agree on that. So
No, you said you liked Detroit style is what? It's the sauce like on top.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
the thicker crust too. It's not like the deep dish. I've never had like that traditional. How is that? Because I've always been curious as to
It's
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 very
good, man.
different.
Like it's good, but it's very similar in a sense where it's like
Hmm.
heavy. It's like
Like
for
a
for
lasagna at
us,
that
we could
point.
go get a pizza and you can eat a lot of it, right?
Yeah.
You go to Detroit, the pizza's great. I mean,
Hmm.
flavor's good and all that stuff is just a little bit different. And there's some spots in Connecticut that are kind of adapting that style as
Yeah.
well. That I'll be exploring a lot this year. But yeah, there's just a lot of really good. There's a lot of really good pizza, a lot of really good food in the Northeast, and I'm just one of the many that are trying to showcase it for
Mhm.
everybody. So.
Now, so you're from the southern part of Connecticut. Um,
Mhm.
have you made your way up north? Because I think the southern part definitely carries the state when it comes to the pizza game. But I think there's a lot of great underrated spots up in Connecticut, especially two of my favorites are Naples and Farmington,
Okay.
and Little City and Simsbury or Avon. Now they moved. I think
Okay.
that is one of the best in the state when you're talking about it. But it just kind of gets overlooked by the big names like the Frank Pepes, the Sally,
Mhm.
the Modern. So I definitely think if you haven't checked those out, those would be my recommendation. But are there any
Yeah.
hidden gems down your end of the state that
Yeah,
get
there is.
overlooked?
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, some of them have gotten some publicity
Mhm.
recently, and you can kind of see them starting to bubble as things are getting going. I mean, I think a lot of people overlook Roseland Pizza. That's in Derby. Roseland's got a
Okay.
tremendous pie. Tipsy Tomato, I believe, is also in Derby. Their specialty pies are unbelievable. They do a stuffed shrimp and a cheeseburger pizza that are
Mhm.
ridiculous. So those two in the Valley area. There's some really good pizza in the town I live in now. Milford,
Mhm.
Gigi's Pizza, Papa's Pizza, and Milford are both, fantastic. Got Rebar in West Haven. So I mean, there's a lot of really good pie, top to bottom, around outside of your top five, I guess you could
Yeah.
say, right? And you have Zupardi's, and you have, you know, Nolo, which was Delegna, but they kind of, created themselves a little bit more of an atmosphere and renamed. You have Cast Iron Pizza in the mall that was created from my buddy Attilio, who has a steakhouse in New Haven, and decided to create his own pizza style. So you have a lot of great things that are coming in the market. Connecticut especially just has a good variety of not only New Haven style, the Abits, but they have a lot of different, variations of it. So it's a lot of good stuff. But yeah, there's one in Southington. I want to try. A lot of people tagged me. It's called Nona's.
I've heard
never
of
been.
that one.
But I've been tagged in their Instagram and TikTok probably a dozen times over the last month. So I'll have to get up there and make an appearance there. But they're talking a lot of smack on social media. The guy who runs it saying that he's better than New Haven style. And listen, I hope he has a great pie. I love the confidence, and I will absolutely go there and give an honest review. And I'm sure the pizza looks fantastic. So I'll be up there at some point. But yeah, a lot of great stuff, a lot of great pizza. And, I've had my fair share for the last couple of weeks, actually. So some really good things going on for sure.
So we back a couple months ago, we had on Will Levis, the Kentucky quarterback. He's from Connecticut, from the southern part of the state. He did his top. He kind of power ranked as I think people would say, the big three of New Haven pizza, with Sally's, Modern, and Frank Pepe's. How would you power rank those three pizza spots?
Sally's, Modern, Pepe's.
Okay, so having Pepe's last, because I think one of the things that I think hurts them personally is they've got multiple locations. I don't think does them a lot of justice when you go to the Manchester one or the Waterbury one. But what's your reasoning for having them last?
You got to just look at it from what you're popular. So the barometer for pizza for me is, what does your cheese taste like, right? So your basic, moots, that's it. And to me, Sally's just delivers that the best out of the three. If you're looking for a specialty pizza, then it's a different list. So for me, I'm a Connecticut guy, raised on the coast, love seafood. If I'm in the mood for a clam pie, I'm going to Pepe's. But if I'm in the mood for a meat lover's pie, I'm going to Modern, because their meat bomb, or whatever it's called, is just an array of various meat, sausage, pepperoni, meatball, bacon, the whole works. So it really depends on the vibe and the mood and what I'm trying to eat. But if I'm just going for a straight up pie, like if it's there, it's Sally's for me. And I've been fortunate enough through the years to become pretty close with some of the people over at Sally's. They treat me like family over there every time I go in there. So not only do they have the best pizza in my opinion, but they also have that really nice welcoming family atmosphere, and I'm here for that as well.
So what made you start kind of doing what you do, where you review different restaurants and pizza, especially because I find accounts like that fascinating. Like I follow I believe it's Taste of Connecticut on TikTok, and I love just finding different new spots, especially ones in my area that I maybe didn't know about. So what kind of made you want to do this?
So I work for Heineken as my day job, and I've worked in the beverage industry for over a decade now, just managing field sales, marketing efforts, things like that across the state and across New England. And as COVID kind of started, there was a lot of static in the space. A lot of people didn't know where their next paycheck was coming from, if they could keep the lights on, et cetera. And they were reaching out to me because I work for a large beverage brand. Like, hey, can you help us out? And just like them, we were in the same space where I didn't really have any monetary budget to give them. Right, I didn't have any programming efforts, things like that. So I had 2,200 followers on Instagram, decent reputation in the space for giving recommendations, just because I had been in restaurants and bars pretty consistently throughout my career, just helping out, developing, programming for them and activating my brands within the four walls of those businesses. So, I got in front of a camera at Gigi's in Milford. Was the first one that really popped, and it got a couple thousand views on it. So I was like, oh, this is great. They're going to get a couple customers. Awesome. Right. So I did a bunch more. All of them were really successful. And then it just kind of turned into a weekly episodic thing that, almost 2 years now of me just trying to showcase independent, local Connecticut businesses and and all the great things that they're doing across the state. So it's been good, man. It's interesting. It's an interesting thing being a food influencer, so to speak. It's not ever anything I'd ever want to be. But listen, I'm here for it. And if it's helping them out, I'm good. So
do you think that kind of gives you the, I'd say like a leg up when you're reviewing food, because you're not taking like a snobby approach where you're not a restaurant critic. You are doing this to support small business and represent where you're from. So do you think that maybe gives you a leg up, and people maybe, at least I think, relate to you more versus somebody going to a 5-star restaurant in a suit and tie and reviewing?
At the end of the day, man, like I would never go on the internet and bash someone. That's not my way. And I've said this in interviews before that I've been on, and people have asked me like, dude, why is there no negativity here? And I was like, well, why would I bring more negativity to their space when they already have, a difficult time keeping the lights on? Like, that's not my purpose. My purpose is to shine a light of positivity on what they're doing. Now, just because I don't like something that's coming out of their kitchen, that doesn't mean somebody else doesn't. There's a reason why they're in business, right? And food and life and everything is subjective to what you feel is good and right and makes you happy, right? So who am I to judge? I'm just one singular person. So in the instances where I've had negative experiences, I've more used it as a learning for the restaurant and essentially said, hey, listen, I'm still going to pay my bill. I'm still going to tip your waitress. The service was great, but hey, listen, there was just a little bit of an issue here. No big deal. I'll come back, and every single place that I've been to where I've had a negative experience, I've revisited and things have been great. So, just trying to use it as a way to help versus a way to hurt, like that's just not what I'm here for. I'm here for the positivity. I'm not here for the negative Yelp like stuff. That's just not for me. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Have there been any spots, you see it over the pandemic, unfortunately, businesses have to close their doors. It's tough to see. Have there been places that you've reviewed during like the start of the pandemic that you loved and had to unfortunately close their doors? And kind of was it a surprise to you when you saw that announcement?
Honestly, I'm always surprised. I don't, especially on a place where they're executing at a really high level, but there's just other factors that go into things, right? It's location or marketing or staff or general, there's a lot of different things that go into executing a restaurant that people don't see, right? They just see the end result and they're like, oh well, get the food on the table. Yeah, but there's 5 other people that need to get the food on the table. If they can't find an intricate part of that staffing, like you can't execute to the level you want to be at, so they can't stay afloat. And yeah, unfortunately, some of them that I have reviewed have closed their doors, and it's sad, and I hate seeing it. And it's it hurts me. I think it hurts a lot of us when we see some of these places where we had been going for years, and you drive by and all of a sudden it says for lease on the building. Man, it's tough. You don't ever want to see that, because the biggest thing out of all of it is somebody lost their livelihood, somebody lost their job, somebody lost their source of income, right? And you never want to wish that or have that on your brain. So all that stuff sucks, man. Like in general, it's really tough to see it, and outside of everything, food reviews, business for me, selling alcohol, like things like all of it is just like, there is still people that were there that put their blood, sweat, and tears in. And now, unfortunately, it's kind of gone away for them. But, I'm hoping the majority of those people can land on their feet and have a good situation moving forward for 2022. And, we can kind of, revisit their next place, hopefully. So trying to do the glass half full type of mentality when it comes to that type of stuff. So
Definitely. So I read the story about how you were working with Fuoco Coal Fire to Pizza.
Yeah. Fuoco is a Cheshire pizzeria. The family owns a bunch of restaurants across the state, but they opened up this Fuoco in Cheshire, and it was bubbling. It had an unbelievable reputation in the space, and I had been tagged to go a million times. It's just I couldn't get to Cheshire. It's not close to me, obviously, and I was on my way there. Like it was literally like on my board of places to go. And they a bunch of people hit me up and told me about the fire, man. Obviously devastating. That's just literally the worst possible thing that can happen to somebody, especially when you're on the come up, right? When you're rising through the static of being Pepe's, Modern, Sally's, and then,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, it's hard to get through that, right?
And
And
you're right outside that area too.
yeah, and like they were doing a very good job creating a brand for themselves outside of that big three, so to speak, right? So, I reached out to them directly, completely cold called them on Instagram. And I introduced myself and I was like, hi, listen, I want to help you guys out. And listen, I shared your GoFundMe and, I donated to it, but that's not, for me, I've always used my platform for the greater good and the positivity aspect of life. So, I kind of just was like, man, I got to do more. So I've done a lot of charity work. That pizza list tea that we spoke about earlier, that was to raise money for the Connecticut Food Bank. That, I've never taken $1 from that shirt. I've never taken $1 of profit in my personal bank account for that merchandise. So, I got with my buddy Dwayne. Dwayne Plains is his Instagram. He's from Milford. He's the guy that I kind of turn to. Him and my buddy Mark are like my digital people, right? Like I can visualize and conceptualize the idea, but I don't have the skill set to like go on Photoshop and crush it, right? Yeah. So I reach out to him and my buddy Mark, who does all my printing for me, Mark's Art in Bridgeport. And I'm like, hey, Dwayne, I got this idea. And I'm a big art guy, I collect art. So there's an artist named Keith Haring who does a lot of black and white stuff. So I was like, I want to take one of his designs and I want to flip it to kind of create a unification piece to kind of unify all of us together to create a fund to give to this GoFundMe that's more than just a $50, donation. So, Dwayne and I are going back and forth, and him and I one night, it was like 10 o'clock at night. We're on the phone, just bullshitting, trying to figure it out. And then all of a sudden, like that, it clicked in our head how we wanted to do it. And I don't know if I can angle my camera down. That is the end result there. It might fuzz out on you there, but
no, it's coming through clear. That's awesome.
Yeah. So basically the idea is I want to unify Connecticut, not only as pizza, but as all of us who like to go support restaurants, like to go out and make sure we're helping people. And it's all about bringing the Connecticut, and not even just Connecticut, everybody around that sees this together to help out somebody and kind of, have them rise from the ashes, so to speak. Right. Obviously. So, all of that has kind of come to fruition. It's been, I released it yesterday. My friend Lex did the shoot for me yesterday. We did it at my buddy's pizza spot, DJ's Pizza in Shelton. And, we kind of launched it to the world yesterday, and the response has been unbelievable. So, it's going to launch on 2/22/22 Day. We're going to pre-order it out, let everybody get the sizing that they want. And we should have it to everybody mid-March. And I'm psyched to help them out and do like this really cool project for them, just as a way to kind of say, hey, listen, we're here for you. We want to see you come back. And, when you do, you're going to be, better than ever. So, really hyped to get that rocking and rolling for sure.
That's great. And when you see figures in Connecticut, like a guy like Chris Webby, who is a pretty, especially the southern part of the state, is a very big name, kind of wear your merch. What does that feel like? And knowing that you're pushing your merch for the greater good, for helping other people out. When you see bigger figures like that support, what does that mean to you?
It's cool, man. Yeah, like Chris and I go back a long time, man. 10 years. We're both Norwalk people, born and raised. So, we have family friends that are there, and we've, it's to see him flourish from watching him freestyle at high school parties when we were young to being on tour with some of these major artists and having a song with DMX, like all these great things that he's doing in the space. And he is the ultimate testament of putting in the work. He obviously is, being a successful rapper is not an easy thing, man. We all can see that. And, he owned his craft, and he's created such a good brand for himself, man. And, every time we chat, and, I shoot him a text, he'll shoot me a DM or a text every once in a blue when I post something he likes. And, it's all love, it's one of those situations where we might not talk for 6 months, but, when I shoot him a text or whatever, he's right back to me, so, just awesome seeing one of the homies, somebody you've seen kind of do this. And, he's got a lot of great things on the horizon for him. So I'm happy for him, and proud to see somebody from my hometown kind of make their own niche in the music game. It's really tough to do, and he's doing it for sure. So it's great.
That's awesome. When
Yeah.
it comes to your merch, will you be bringing the Booby Bear back for October? Because if so, that's I saw the design for it, and I'm a huge I love the polo bear stuff, especially whenever they put out a new football shirt with that. I always make sure I find it.
Yeah.
So will that be making a return this October?
Yeah. So that'll be back every October, for the foreseeable future. I mean, I think, I've had family members who suffer from breast cancer, and a lot of people can kind of, understand that, and they've been dealing with it within their family too. So, as a big Ralph Lauren fan, I've been wearing Ralph Lauren for a very long time. I'm an enthusiast of fashion and brands, and that was one thing I always looked up to was, so when Ralph was releasing a new season, he would always put that season on the bear. And not a lot of people know that, right? So when you look at some of the stuff I try to put on the bear, there's some Easter eggs occasionally on things that could be coming in the future that myself or my friends are kind of releasing. So, there's some cool stuff. I actually already started working on the bear for this year, just to kind of get that, done early and often. And, this year we're going to do a really big, hopefully with COVID kind of hopefully going away. Who the hell knows now? I mean, we don't know anymore, but I'd really like to do something that's a little more in person. And this last year, I ended up working directly with the Smilo Cancer Center, which is part of Yale, and they do all their breasts. So all the money went to them last year, and I'd love to do something more like a launch party or something like that. So hopefully the world will allow us to do that, and we can really showcase it to the world on a greater scale, on a grander scale. And we're just going to continue to do it, man. Like, I always got stuff in my brain, and I've always been the person who's kind of like, man, I don't like wearing what other people have on, so I'm just going to design my own stuff and go. So, but yeah, that's coming back for sure. Thanks for the support on that. Sure.
Any copyright issue when it came to the bear? Because I imagine a company that big, they monitor stuff like that. I wasn't sure if you ever ran into something where you maybe had to change the design just the slightest bit to not make it identical to the bear, or if there was never a bump in the road for you.
Not yet, knock on wood. But no, we've changed it enough where we you understand the inspiration of it. But it's also not being sold for retail. It's sold for charity. So most of the time it would be okay. But yeah, we haven't ran into that. Luckily, a lot of what we do is it's inspiration driven. I'm a big art guy and fashion guy. So a lot of what I do is based off of the stuff that I'm interested in. But no, luckily we haven't had any issues, but we'll do another wood knock there. Hopefully we don't have to worry about that moving forward. But listen, if I get big enough to get a cease and desist, I don't know if that's good or bad. So we'll see when we get there. So if I get that cease and desist, we'll do a round two, and I'll let you in on that.
Cease and desist into a shirt.
Yeah. I'd probably say fuck your cease and desist, but we'll see, man.
So now kind of take me through, if you have your perfect day of eating in Connecticut. You start with go breakfast, lunch, dinner, and top it off with dessert. What are four, and it can't be the same, 4 different locations. What are you going to, just off your favorite stuff?
Strong question, actually. First, bacon, egg, and cheese from the Country Cow Deli in Fairfield, Connecticut. Salt, pepper, ketchup with a peach Arizona 99-cent tall can.
Nice.
That'll be breakfast. Lunch.
What are you getting it on?
Just their standard roll that they give it to you. It's like a Portuguese roll.
Okay.
Yep. So bacon, egg, and cheese, salt, pepper, ketchup from Country Cow Deli, Fairfield, Connecticut, with a 99-cent Arizona. Lunch would probably be a pizza from Sally's. Probably I like their rotisserie chicken pizza from Sally's. That's my go-to. So it would probably be that. Wash that down with a Fox and Park. Shout out to Fox and Park. Dinner would probably be, it depends on my mood. So if I want Italian, Cafe Silvium in Stamford, or if I want steak, Cast Iron Chop House in New Haven.
Okay.
So one of those two, depending on my mood. And then dessert will probably be Sugar Rush in Shelton, getting a crazy, obnoxious, diabetes-filled milkshake. Yeah, that's probably that's like a perfect day of having to wear elastic pants
Yep.
for the day, but totally worth this 12,000 calories or so that I would consume. So, but yeah, all people that I actually know too, which
Right.
makes it even cooler that they're all friends of the program. So
Now,
but yeah.
when it comes to those big shakes, are you going more chocolate, where it's like got the brownie on top, or Oreos in it, stuff like that? Or are you going vanilla or candy based? What's the ideal milkshake like that for you?
So over at Sugar Rush, they do like an infusion of a waffle. So like I'm a big Oreo cookie guy. So they infuse the Oreo cookies in the waffle and it goes like to the backside of the waffle. And then
Oh,
I am not a huge chocolate ice cream fan. I'm a vanilla based ice cream person. So
mhm.
probably that with some like Reese's or something like that would probably be my twist. Add a little cookie dough and some whipped cream and I'm good. So that's probably where I would run to for sure.
Have you tried? I'm assuming you have in New Haven, Arethusa Farms. There's that.
Tremendous.
The one in
Unbelievable.
is they sell the pints at the Geisler's near my house, and it is it's ridiculous. I think that would have to be probably my favorite ice cream in the state. It's just
Yeah, it's very good.
it's pretty crazy. I had that in Yale and then went out to Litchfield a few times and had it, but I'd
Yeah.
have to say
Yeah.
that one's real good.
There's it's Connecticut is actually very slept on for ice cream also. Obviously I know a lot of states have really good ice cream, but Arethusa is fantastic. I have a video in the hopper for them that I will post at some point. I don't know. There's a bunch in there that I still have to put up, but Arethusa is fantastic. I really like Ashley's, which is a coastline New Haven County.
Okay.
I think they have like 3 or 4 locations. Their ice cream's great. Walnut Beach Creamery in my town, Milford, fantastic. And a ton. I mean, obviously Milkcraft made a huge smash
Yeah.
in the space over the last 5 years or so. So there's a lot of really good ice cream too. So definitely something to look at as well for when you're talking about Connecticut food.
Another place I saw you post about was Nora's Cupcakes.
The best.
It's during when I played football in high school, we
Yeah.
would get the Nora's truck to come down, and I always made sure
Awesome.
my mom would grab me one for after games because it's I think sometimes cupcakes will miss when it comes to frosting or cake. There's always, I think, some sort
Yeah.
of miss with it, and I don't think Nora's misses when it comes to either of them. And I think it makes the perfect cupcake. It makes for one that you want to go back and get. And I don't think they overdo it too. They make I I mean, I just think it's the best in the state. They're not going crazy on top.
Yeah, Nora's does a great job, and the people over there are fantastic. And
Mhm.
we've been kind of running into each other over the years at beer festivals and in different type of events that I'm working at, they're working at. So we've become friendly over the years, and it's a good barter service for me. I give them a 12 pack of product, and they give me some cupcakes, and it's a nice even trade for me. But yeah, they had which one did I do? They did I believe it was tiramisu cupcake.
Yeah.
And it was pretty tremendous, man. So yeah, fantastic people. I mean, the innovator in the space, in Connecticut especially, and they're amazing. And I wish them all the best, and I love seeing them have success. So
That's awesome. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Now I was talking. So your name came up. We just put out an episode with Jeff and Jake from the Vault CT.
yeah,
He brought him up. He's like, hey, he would be awesome to talk to. Brought up
yep.
you're a New York sports fan. So how do you split? Because it's very different. I think there's Giants and Mets people, Jets and Yankees. It does kind of intertwine. But where do you fall on the big four for?
So I am Yankees, Giants, Knicks, Rangers. So
Okay.
that's my 4. Listen, if the Yankees are out of it, I'll root for the Mets.
Mhm.
If the Giants are out of it, I'll root for the Jets just because of the local. I'll never root for the Pats. Sorry,
Okay.
I see that sign behind you, but
That's my dad's. I'm a Vikings fan.
hey, that's all right, man. Listen, I'm an extended Vikings fan. One of my best friends, Moss, she's a shoe customizer. He's taken me out to Minnesota. I've been on that field. I've been in their locker room, their facilities, and They are, I'm an extended Vikings fan. I wouldn't call myself a Vikings fan, but
Yeah.
when I'm there, you know, I'll root for them because they rock my boy. But yeah, I mean, there is, I'm a diehard Yankees. I played baseball my whole life through college, so Yankees till I die. That's big first and foremost. And Giants, unfortunately, have hurt me over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But listen, I have a couple Super Bowls in my lifetime, so I can't be too mad. But Knicks also been pretty bad my whole life, but Rangers have been solid. So, it's a mix of it's a mix of everything really. So Yankees luckily have been competitive over the last, 20, 25 years for the most part. So I've been fortunate enough to been at World Series games, seen them win big games, and, got to meet some of my idols in the process. So really good.
When I was growing up, that Knicks team of Carmelo Anthony, J.R. Smith, Stoudemire, Shumpert,
Yeah.
that was like when you'd have all your buddies over and you'd play 2K. You
Yeah.
playing either got the Heat or the Knicks just because
Yeah.
they were a cheat code with 5 guys on the floor that could score and
Oh
play.
yeah.
And watching them, I just remember we were at one of my buddies' houses and there was the Shumpert putback where you just dove the lane, caught it, cocked it back, and like those teams were so fun to watch. And these Knicks teams aren't too bad. I mean, the record's not great, but like a guy like Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson, those guys are a good time to watch. It would be, well, I'm not a Knicks fan. I would be happy to see them be good again because it makes the league a lot more entertaining when a big market like the Knicks are a competitive team.
Yeah. I mean, the crazy thing is even being a more mid team, they still lead the league in attendance. And every time I go to a game, it's completely sold out. So playing at Madison Square Garden is obviously unbelievable. I just think they're missing a Carmelo Anthony. They're missing that. I mean, RJ Barrett's fantastic. Randall is great. And Mitch is good. And Quickly's good. They have good players, but they're just missing a star. They're missing like the guy who can. I mean, imagine inserting a Steph Curry into that team. They would be the 1 seed in the East. Like, they'd be right up there with the Bucks and everybody else who's kind of been dominating the East. So they're missing that player, that one guy who can just take over the game and be positively obnoxious, while scoring basketball. So hopefully something happens. I don't see it happening anytime soon unless they draft a stud, even though the draft's kind of soft this year coming up anyway. So we'll see what happens, but hopefully I can have some baseball and I can actually watch the Yankees play this year. So hopefully they can figure that out, man. It's a mess, but
so you're saying you're a big Yankees fan. I was in the article I was reading said Robinson Cano is another guy that
yeah.
So that must have been overall a really probably
Yeah.
If I'm you, if I have clothes and one of the Vikings players is wearing it,
Yeah.
a star to that level of Robinson Cano, I'd be thrilled. So how did that one feel when you see him wearing one of your shirts?
It's cool, man. So not to mention my buddy again who does custom shoes. He was doing cleats for him, and we were at his studio one day, and he calls me up and he goes, "Hey, come to the studio." And I was like, "No, dude, I'm working. Like, why?" He goes, "Come to the studio. Somebody's on the way here that you're really gonna want to meet." So I was like, all right, it's happened before, and I've run into some WWE, wrestlers and some celebrities and some mutual friends, whatever. So I walk in and I see a mutual friend of ours, and I dap him up, and I'm like, "Hey, man, what's up?" I'm like, "What are you doing here?" He goes, "Oh, I brought somebody with me," and opened the door, and it's Robbie Cano. And as a Yankee fan, he was on the Mariners, I believe, at the time.
Okay.
I was like, I almost shit myself a little bit, like, because you get, star. I wouldn't say I was starstruck, but I was like kind of just like, oh shit, like this dude is literally one of my idols. Was like while I was playing ball in college, he was playing for the Yankees, and I was like, he wore 22. 22 is my number. That's why I have 22. So like all of that shit kind of like was like, I was like, oh shit, like this is one of the guys that I literally was like, I love him, man. Like that's my boy. Like I have his autographed jersey in my closet right now. That's getting framed. That's going to get framed. So, I happen to had a bunch of merch on me. I showed it to him and I was like, listen, man, would love for you to just, represent. I mean, listen, don't worry about anything. You don't have to post it. I don't need anything from you. Just would love to give you a couple of pieces. He goes, absolutely. I handed him some stuff and, he's worn a couple of the shirts that I've given him over the years. I've seen him in it. So, hey, listen, at the end of the day, man, it's cool to see people on that stage. Like you mentioned, at least support it, the
Yeah.
best they can. So.
Do you always keep some of your merch in the car with you in case of a scenario like that where you can get it into the hands of a person to Robinson Cano's level?
Always.
Always.
Always, always. I always have some. I mean, there's times where I don't have things going on, but right now I have a ton of merch that's going to be dropping on 2/22/22 on my website that I haven't really even announced yet. I'm just kind of just letting little Easter eggs come out. One of them might be on my head right now. So there is just certain things where there's little things that I'll kind of show off in a picture or a post while I'm reviewing something that people are like, yo, where'd you get that hat, or where's that hoodie from, or blah blah blah. And I'm just gonna kind of let that grassroots go, and we can as things kind of happen, we'll show it off for sure. But yeah, man, it's cool. It's cool to see people in power kind of wear your shit. It's cool to see people around Connecticut respect you for it. And it's cool to kind of be a person who can say that they helped out, the best they could, So that's the whole mentality behind it, bro. That's it.
Mike, I appreciate you coming on. Before I let you go, I'm always curious, when you're driving around the state, going to different places to try food, what is the road trip setup for you like? What are you listening to? You stop at a gas station. What are you picking up before you head out?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of take me through that planning stage when you're about to hit the road?
So I'm a field manager too for work, so I'm on the road all day long. So I actually have I'm a big music guy. I grew up in the 90s, so a lot of my interest level, revolves around 90s hip hop and rock. And I've most of the time, if you're in my car, you'll probably hear some Biggie or some Nas or some Jay-Z. It's just kind of how I grew up. Dipset was always big in my life, so usually that. If there's music on, if there's not music on, it's usually a podcast. I love listening to crime podcasts like or podcasts that my friends have. I have a bunch of friends that have different podcasts that I'll check in on and see what they got going on in their world. And I always got to have a Bev, big Bev guy, real big advocate for the zero sugar vitamin water. Shout out, sponsor me. Big fan of that. But always got to have that. Always got to have a Bev. And then as far as snacks go, I mean, I lost about 100 pounds.
Nice.
About over the last 4 or 5 years. So I've dropped a ton of weight. So my snacking has gone from Oreos and chips to like an apple, unfortunately. So not gonna have a ton for when I'm not filming stuff. I usually eat fairly clean, just trying to not gain some weight back. But honestly, if I was doing like a go-to snack, it'd probably be just like a bag of Doritos or something like that.
Nice.
I mean, you can never go wrong with a good bag of Doritos and like a Canada Dry ginger ale. I mean, that's a serious mix right there. So, but yeah, that's my go-to for sure. Definitely some Biggie on the radio though.
You brought up the weight thing. I was always, especially with you're reviewing pizza and doing stuff like that, I was always fascinated when I would watch like something like Man vs. Food as a kid. I'm like, the guy, he's not that big. I always was curious how that was. And how much do you prioritize eating clean outside of when you're reviewing food?
Have to. If I didn't, I would be a sumo wrestler, to be honest with you. Like, I'm in the gym a lot. I was a college athlete, so I gained a lot of weight initially because I was in, the beverage scene, out partying, drinking, eating like a jerk, and didn't care about myself. 4 or 5 years ago, I kind of just started on that journey of not being gross anymore, trying to drop that weight. And I was, 330 pounds at one point. And so I was a big guy. So, I'm down about 100 pounds now, and I kept it off for a while. And I've found my happy ground of maintenance, maintaining and, enjoying the cheat meal when I can. But then during the week, it's unfortunately nothing like that, little chicken thighs for dinner instead of macaroni and cheese. So, you just figure out your ways around it, man. It's just, finding that balance, that 90-10, so it's been good, man. Been good. I've figured it out for now. So We'll see.
Mike, I appreciate you coming on. Definitely. I definitely am going to be grabbing a shirt when they drop. And especially I'll be grabbing one in October when the Booby Bears come back out.
Yep.
It's a a great thing that you're doing. And like I said, I appreciate you coming on. Plug your website, where people can find you so they can pick up some merch.
Yeah, sure. So follow me on Instagram. It's TWENTYDEUCECT. So 20 Deuce CT is my Instagram. And then the website's 20deucect.bigcartel.com. Everything will be releasing on 2/22/22. There's going to be some stuff you had never seen before. There's going to be some stuff that you may have seen, and maybe a few other things I'll sneak on there as a way to kind of get people in the door. But most of the stuff I drop is for some kind of charity or fundraiser. So keep that in mind when you're potentially purchasing. Thanks.
Great. Thank you for listening to this episode of the My Parents Office podcast, and stay tuned for more episodes we'll be dropping this week. Thank you.